What if I told you that every decision you make, every emotion you feel, and even the reality you experience is shaped by one invisible force? Thought. It is the silent architect of your life, an unseen current that influences everything from your happiness to your success. But where do thoughts come from? How do they shape our brains, emotions, and even the world around us? In this deep dive into the nature of thought, we'll uncover the science, philosophy, and power behind the mind's most elusive function. By the end, you may never think about thinking the same way again. The nature of thought, a journey into the mind. What is a thought? It is an invisible current, a whisper of the mind, a spark that ignites imagination, decision, and understanding. Thought is the unseen architect of human experience, shaping our perceptions, guiding our actions, and creating the rich inner world that defines our individuality. It is, at once, ephemeral and powerful, fleeting and foundational. But where do thoughts come from? How do they arise? And what is their true nature? To understand thought, we must first recognize that it exists at the intersection of biology, psychology, and philosophy. At its core, a thought is an electrochemical process, neurons firing, synapses connecting, networks activating. But to reduce thought to mere biology is to ignore its deeper implications. Thought is not just a mechanical process. It is a phenomenon that gives rise to self-awareness, creativity, and meaning. It is the bridge between the raw data of the senses and the elaborate structures of understanding that define our lives. Here's an expanded section on the biology of thought, diving deeper into the neuroscience behind how thoughts form, travel, and shape our minds. Let me know if you'd like more details or refinements. The biology of thought, a neural symphony. At the most fundamental level, a thought is an electrical and chemical event within the brain. It emerges from the complex interplay of neurons, synapses, neurotransmitters, and brain regions working in harmony. But this is not a simple process. It is a dynamic and intricate symphony, one that occurs at astonishing speed, shaping our perceptions, decisions, and identities in real time. Neurons, the thought messengers. The brain contains approximately 460 billion neurons, each capable of forming thousands of connections with others. Neurons are specialized cells that transmit electrical signals, passing messages in a denser web of interactions. When we think, sensory input or internal stimuli trigger a cascade of activity in these neurons, igniting a process that allows for reasoning, memory, and imagination. Each neuron consists of three main parts. Dendrites. These branch-like extensions receive incoming signals from other neurons. Cell body, soma, the core of the neuron, which processes incoming information and determines if a signal should be sent. Axon, a long, cable-like projection that carries the electrical impulse away from the neuron and toward other cells. Neurons do not physically touch one another. Instead, they communicate across small gaps called synapses, where neurotransmitters, chemical messengers, are released. This chemical exchange allows one neuron to influence another, setting off a chain reaction that spreads thought throughout the brain. Neurotransmitters, the chemical language of thought. Thoughts are not just electrical impulses, they are also sculpted by the presence and balance of neurotransmitters chemicals that act as messengers between neurons. Each neurotransmitter plays a different role in cognition and emotional experience. Dopamine, associated with motivation, reward, and pleasure, influencing goal-directed thinking. Serotonin regulates mood and contributes to a sense of well-being, affecting thought patterns linked to happiness and contentment. Glutamate, the brain's primary excitatory neurotransmitter, responsible for learning and memory formation. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, which calms excessive neural activity and helps regulate focus. Acetylcholine plays a critical role in attention, learning, and memory. Norepinephrine, linked to alertness and stress responses, enhancing the speed and intensity of thoughts in high-pressure situations. The delicate balance of these chemicals determines the nature of our thoughts, whether they are calm and focused, anxious and racing, or creative and insightful. Brain regions involved in thought. While thought arises from interactions across the entire brain, certain areas play distinct roles in shaping its content and quality. Prefrontal cortex, PFC, the seat of rational thought, decision-making, and self-control. It is responsible for planning, abstract reasoning, and conscious reflection. Hippocampus, the brain's memory center, integrating past experiences into current thought patterns. Amygdala, the emotional center, assigning significance and urgency to thoughts based on fear, excitement, or pleasure. Temporal lobes, involved in language, comprehension, and the recognition of complex patterns. Parietal lobes, help process sensory information and contribute to spatial reasoning and problem-solving. Default mode network, DMN, a network of brain regions that becomes active when the mind is at rest, involved in daydreaming, introspection, and creativity. How thoughts are born. The neural process of thinking. The journey of a thought begins with a stimulus either on external event, something seen, heard, touched, or on internal cue, a memory, an emotion, a random neural fluctuation. Here's how the brain processes it. Sensory input arrivis. The brain receives raw data from the senses, which is then sent to the appropriate processing centers. Pattern recognition. The brain compares new input with past experiences, memories, and learned information to find meaning. Neural activation spreads. The prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, and related regions work together to create a coherent thought. Emotional coloring. The amygdala and limbic system add emotional weight, determining if the thought feels urgent, exciting, or neutral. Conscious awareness. If the thought is strong enough, it enters conscious awareness, where it can be acted upon or dismissed. This entire process can happen in milliseconds, yet it is responsible for everything from casual daydreams to deep philosophical insights. Neuroplasticity. How thoughts shape the brain. One of the most fascinating discoveries in neuroscience is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt based on experience and repeated thought patterns. Each time we think a particular thought, we reinforce neural pathways associated with it. Over time, frequently used pathways become stronger, while unused ones fade. This is why habitual thought patterns, whether positive or negative, can become ingrained in our minds. Learning and memory formation. Repetition strengthens connections between neurons, making thoughts and skills easier to recall. Habitual thinking. Negative or self-defeating thoughts can become automatic if reinforced over time, but they can be reshaped through conscious effort. Mindfulness and meditation. Practices that focus on awareness and self-reflection can alter brain structure, increasing gray matter in areas responsible for focus, emotional regulation, and creativity. The future of thought. Artificial intelligence and brain-machine interfaces. As we deepen our understanding of how thought emerges from biological processes, we are also exploring ways to enhance or replicate it. Fields like brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, and artificial intelligence, AI, aim to bridge the gap between human cognition and digital systems. Neural implants, devices like Elon Musk's Neuralink, aim to integrate human thought with computers, allowing for direct communication between the brain and external technology. AI thought simulation. Advances in machine learning raise the question of whether true thought can exist outside of a biological brain. Cognitive enhancement. Research into nootropics, neurostimulation, and genetic modifications seeks to improve memory, focus, and creativity. These developments pose profound ethical and philosophical questions. If thought can be augmented or replicated artificially, what does it mean to be human? Here's an expanded section on the power of thought, exploring its influence on emotions, health, reality, and human potential. The power of thought, shaping reality, health, and human potential. Thought is more than a fleeting mental event. It is a force capable of shaping emotions, influencing physical health, altering perception, and even changing reality itself. From the placebo effect to the role of thoughts in shaping destiny, the mind holds immense power. But how does thought wield such influence? How can an intangible process alter the tangible world? The answer lies in the intricate interplay between the mind, body, and environment. Every thought we have sets off a chain reaction, triggering emotions, biochemical responses, and even behavioral patterns that ripple outward into the world. Understanding this power allows us to harness it for creativity, healing, and personal transformation. UXI. The neuroscience of thought power. How thoughts shape the brain. Every time we think, our brain undergoes subtle but significant changes. Thoughts are not passive. They actively shape neural pathways, reinforcing habits, perspectives, and emotional responses. This process is driven by neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated thought patterns. How thoughts change the brain. Repetition strengthens neural pathways. The more often a thought is repeated, the stronger the connections between neurons become. This is why habits and beliefs, both positive and negative, become deeply ingrained over time. New thoughts create new pathways. When we challenge old beliefs or think in new ways, the brain forms fresh connections, expanding cognitive flexibility and emotional resilience. Negative thinking shrinks the brain. Studies show that chronic stress and negative thought patterns can shrink the hippocampus, the region responsible for learning and memory. Conversely, positive thinking can promote neural growth. The implications are profound. The thoughts we nurture reshape the structure and function of our brain, directly influencing our mental and emotional well-being. CUX. The thought-emotion connection. How thinking shapes feelings. Thoughts and emotions are deeply intertwined. Every thought triggers a biochemical response, releasing neurotransmitters and hormones that influence mood, motivation, and perception. Examples of thought-emotion interaction. A fearful thought triggers anxiety. When we think about worst-case scenarios, the brain releases cortisol and adrenaline, putting the body into a stress response. A positive thought induces calmness. Thinking about gratitude or joyful experiences stimulates serotonin and dopamine, creating feelings of happiness and relaxation. Self-talk dictates confidence. Encouraging thoughts boost self-esteem and performance, while self-doubt can lead to hesitation and failure. This is why two people can experience the same event but react entirely differently because their thoughts shape their emotional reality. Colme. The placebo and nocebo effects. When thoughts influence health. The mind-body connection is perhaps most dramatically illustrated by the placebo effect, where belief alone can trigger real physiological changes. Placebo effect. Patients given sugar pills or fake treatments often experience real healing because they believe they are receiving actual medicine. Their thoughts stimulate biological responses that promote recovery. Nocebo effect. Conversely, negative expectations can cause harm. If a person believes they will suffer side effects from a medication, even if they are taking a harmless substance, they often do. Studies have shown that placebos can reduce pain by activating endorphin release, lower blood pressure through stress reduction, boost immune function by enhancing white blood cell activity. This demonstrates that thoughts don't just influence emotions, they can alter physical health at a biochemical level. Nelia. Thought and perception. How the mind filters reality. Reality is not just what we see, it is what we think we see. Our thoughts act as a lens, filtering experiences and shaping our perception of the world. How thoughts shape perception. Cognitive bias. If you expect people to be unkind, you will notice hostility even where it doesn't exist. If you expect kindness, you will find it more often. Confirmation bias. Once we form a belief, our brain actively seeks evidence to support it and ignores information that contradicts it. Framing effect. The way a situation is framed alters perception. Saying, "I get to work today," instead of, "I have to work today," shifts how the brain interprets the experience. This is why changing our thoughts can literally change our reality, because perception defines experience. VC. Thought and behavior. How thinking drives action. Every action originates as a thought. Whether we succeed, fail, hesitate, or take risks depends largely on how we think. The thought-behavior loop. Thought. Emotion. Thinking about success triggers motivation. while thinking about failure creates anxiety. Emotion, action, motivation leads to action. Anxiety leads to avoidance. Action, outcome. Repeated actions shape skills, habits, and results. Outcome reinforces thought. Success reinforces confidence. Failure reinforces doubt. This loop explains why beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies, because thoughts influence actions, and actions shape reality. Kuusi. The creative power of thought, manifestation, and visualization. Visualization is one of the most powerful ways thought can shape reality. Athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists all use mental imagery to enhance performance and turn ideas into reality. How visualization works. The brain treats visualization as reality. Neuroscience shows that imagining an action activates the same brain regions as physically performing it. Mental rehearsal enhances performance. Studies show that basketball players who mentally practice free throws improve as much as those who physically train. Thoughts attract opportunities. Focused thinking primes the brain to notice and act on opportunities related to our goals, reticular activating system. When combined with action, focused thought can be a powerful tool for success. Seitsemän. The dark side of thought power. Overthinking, negativity, and cognitive distortions. While thought can be a tool for success, it can also become a prison. Overthinking, self-doubt, and negative thinking patterns can trap the mind in cycles of stress and anxiety. Common cognitive distortions. Catastrophizing. Expecting the worst-case scenario. Black and white thinking. Viewing situations as all good or all bad. Overgeneralization. Drawing broad conclusions from a single experience. Mind reading. Assuming we know what others think, usually negatively. Recognizing these patterns allows us to challenge and reshape harmful thoughts before they control us. Kahdeksan. Harnessing thought power. Practical techniques for mental mastery. To unlock the power of thought, we must train our minds like a muscle. Here are some techniques. Mindfulness meditation. Observing thoughts without judgment reduces their power. Cognitive reframing. Rewriting negative thoughts into neutral or positive ones. Gratitude practice. Shifts focus from lack to abundance, boosting happiness. Affirmations. Repeating positive statements to rewire self-perception. Journaling. Writing down thoughts to clarify and challenge them. These techniques help us direct our thoughts consciously, transforming life from the inside out. Here's an expanded section on harnessing thought for growth, exploring how we can consciously direct our thoughts to improve our lives, overcome challenges, and unlock our full potential. Harnessing thought for growth. Mastering the mind for a better life. Our thoughts shape our reality, influencing our emotions, behaviors, and even our physical health. But for many people, thoughts seem uncontrollable, appearing randomly, cycling through negativity, or becoming distractions rather than tools for success. However, just as an athlete trains their body, we can train our minds. By understanding how thoughts work and actively directing them, we can transform our mental patterns, break free from limitations, and cultivate a mindset that fuels personal growth and achievement. The key to harnessing thought for growth lies in awareness, intention, and practice. With the right strategies, we can shift our thinking to foster creativity, resilience, and a greater sense of purpose. Yksi. The science of thought control. How we shape our own minds. Every thought we have strengthens or weakens neural pathways in our brain. This process, known as neuroplasticity, means that our minds are not fixed, they can be reshaped over time. How thoughts create long-term change. Repeated thoughts become habits. The more we think in a particular way, the more automatic those thoughts become. Negative thinking can become habitual, but so can positive and empowering thoughts. Focus determines mental strength. What we repeatedly focus on expands. If we focus on possibilities, we see opportunities. If we focus on limitations, we see obstacles. Thoughts influence emotions and behavior. Changing our thinking patterns can directly impact our feelings, motivation, and ability to take action. By practicing intentional thought control, we can break free from limiting beliefs and cultivate a mindset of growth, confidence, and success. Coxi. Cultivating mindfulness, becoming aware of your thoughts. One of the most powerful ways to harness thought is to become more aware of it. Mindfulness is the practice of observing thoughts without immediately reacting to them. Benefits of mindfulness in thought control: reduces overthinking. Instead of getting caught in endless thought loops, mindfulness allows us to observe and let go of unnecessary thoughts. Increases focus and clarity. When we stop being controlled by random thoughts, we can direct our energy toward what truly matters. Strengthens emotional intelligence. Observing thoughts helps us understand our emotions and respond wisely rather than react impulsively. Simple mindfulness techniques. Thought labeling. When a thought arises, label it, "This is a worry," "This is a memory," or "This is an assumption." This helps distance yourself from thoughts rather than being consumed by them. Breath awareness. Focusing on the breath helps redirect attention away from unhelpful thoughts. Journaling, writing down thoughts, can help you observe patterns and gain insight into how your mind operates. By practicing mindfulness, we gain mastery over thought rather than being its prisoner. Colme. Cognitive reframing, transforming negative thoughts into growth tools. Not all thoughts serve us. Many people are trapped in patterns of self-doubt, fear, and negativity, which limit their potential. Cognitive reframing is a technique that helps shift negative thoughts into empowering perspectives. How cognitive reframing works: identify the negative thought. Notice when a limiting or self-defeating thought arises. Challenge its validity. Ask, is this thought based on facts or assumptions? Replace it with an empowering perspective. Instead of "I always fail," reframe to "I learn from every experience and improve." Examples of cognitive reframing. Negative thought: "I'm terrible at public speaking." Reframed thought: "Every time I practice, I improve my speaking skills." Negative thought: "I can't handle stress." Reframed thought: "I've overcome stress before, and I can do it again." Negative thought: "I'll never be successful." Reframed thought: "Success is a journey. Every small step I take moves me forward." This simple practice rewires the brain for optimism and resilience, allowing for greater confidence and productivity. Nelia. Visualization. Using the power of imagination to create success. Visualization is a scientifically backed technique where we mentally rehearse success, strengthening neural pathways that lead to achievement. Why visualization works. The brain treats imagined experiences as real. When we vividly imagine performing an action, the brain activates the same neural circuits as if we were actually doing it. Increases confidence and motivation. Seeing success in the mind boosts belief in one's abilities, reducing self-doubt. Enhances skill development. Athletes, musicians, and professionals use visualization to improve performance. How to use visualization for growth. Create a clear mental image. Close your eyes and imagine your goal in vivid detail. Engage the senses. Imagine the sights, sounds, and emotions associated with achieving your goal. Visualize the process, not just the outcome. Don't just see yourself succeeding. Imagine each step you need to take. Practice daily. The more you visualize success, the more your brain believes it is achievable. Studies show that mental rehearsal improves performance in sports, business, and personal development. The mind creates what it repeatedly says, so visualize wisely. VC. Positive self-talk and affirmations. Rewiring the mind for success. The way we talk to ourselves shapes our self-image and abilities. Negative self-talk can destroy confidence, while positive self-talk reinforces strength and growth. How to use affirmations effectively. Use the present tense. Say "I am confident" instead of "I will be confident." Make it believable. Start with affirmations you can accept, like "I am learning to be more confident." Repeat consistently. The more often you repeat positive statements, the stronger they become. Example affirmations. I am resilient and capable of overcoming challenges. Every day I grow stronger and more confident. I attract opportunities and success into my life. By changing our internal dialogue, we reshape our self-perception and reality. Kuusi. Learning and curiosity. Keeping the mind open for growth. Thought stagnant is when we stop learning. Keeping an open, curious mind fosters mental flexibility and continuous improvement. Ways to cultivate a growth mindset. Read widely. Expand your thinking by exposing yourself to new ideas. Engage in thoughtful conversations. Discussing ideas with others strengthens understanding. Challenge assumptions. Questioning what you know leads to deeper insights. Keep a growth journal. Track progress, lessons, and reflections. By staying open to learning, we ensure that our thoughts evolve and expand. Here's a compelling conclusion that ties everything together. Conclusion. The infinite landscape of thought. Thought is both a mystery and a map of force that shapes our identities, our perceptions, and even our reality. It is the silent architect of our experiences, guiding us through the intricate dance of consciousness. From its biological foundations in neural networks to its profound influence on emotions, health, and behavior, thought is far more than just an internal monologue. It is the essence of who we are. But understanding thought is just the beginning. The true power lies in harnessing it, directing our mental energy toward growth, creativity, and purpose. By practicing mindfulness, reshaping negative patterns, and engaging in intentional thinking, we can transform not only our minds, but also our lives. Thought is not a passive occurrence. It is an active force, capable of shaping our future. As we continue to explore the depths of the mind, one question remains: if our thoughts have the power to shape reality, what kind of reality do we wish to create? The answer lies in the thoughts we choose to cultivate, in the silent yet powerful moments when our minds shape the world around us.